The first Asian Games I participated was the second Asian Games held in Manila, Philippines. I came fourth, although I cleared the same height as the winner. It was 1.95 meters is what I cleared, and all the other three, the first, second, and third, we all missed 1.98 meters. I was very upset because I had missed a medal, possibly a gold medal. I had more misses, therefore I did not get a medal, but I shared the record with the other three jumpers. At that time, after the meet, I promised myself that in the next games I would win a medal and try to win the gold medal. So the third Asian Games was held in Tokyo in 1958 in May, and my participation in that games was a miracle, I should say, because I was studying at University of California in Los Angeles, and I was jumping there. I was jumping 6 feet 6 inches or 2 meters most of the time in dual meets and invitational meets. When the Asian Games selection came through, I sent those performances that were authenticated by the officials to the Athletic Association, in Ceylon at the time, and later to the Olympic Committee. But they did not consider that I jumped high enough, or for whatever reasons, and did not select me in the first 10 athletes they recommended to the National Olympic Committee. I was in the bottom of the list. The Olympic Committee had to select not only athletes, but also sports persons from other events, such as swimming and tennis and diving, wrestling, boxing. So they also dropped me. Kartan Senivaratna, who was the sports editor of the Daily News, he wrote on the newspapers that I was a co-holder of the Asian Games in 1954, and that I had jumped 6 feet 6 inches or 2 meters, and it is authenticated. And the best at that time in Asia was 6 feet 7 inches. So, whereas all the other athletes who were selected were not in even the first 10 in Asia in any of their events. So he made a case for my selection. Unfortunately, neither the AA or the Olympic Committee selected me in the team that was to go to Tokyo. But the criticism on the newspapers of the two bodies was such that at the last minute they said, okay, they can include me. But they said they did not have money. So Kartan Senivaratna approached his friend, who's Donovan Andre, who had an entertainment business, and he then contributed $5,000 for my travel to the Asian Games in Tokyo. So the Olympic Committee finally selected me, and I arrived in Tokyo 2 days before the opening ceremony. So I had only 1 day of practice, and the next day was opening ceremony, which I did not take part in. So I was determined that I must do my very best to win a medal, and also to prove that Carlton Senivaratna's and Donovan Andre's faith was not misplaced. This was in the back of my mind all the time. So on the day of the meet, as usual, when I left the Daiichi Hotel, which was the Asian Games village, my habit was when I get out on the street, I assume that my mother is staying right at the entrance and wishing me my best. This is what she did when I was jumping at school meets when I was 11 and 12. She passed away in 1947, and after that, in any meet anywhere in the world I compete, when I get out to the street, I imagine that I see her and her wishing me the best for that day. So I went straight to the stadium, warmed up, and when the names were called and we were introduced to the crowd, and then marched, I was very determined that I must do the very best I can. So this was all in the back of my mind, the 54 Asian Games, as well as my selection problems that happened. I don't know the real reason for my not being selected, but there were ethnic tension before that, which I did not know in 1958. But when I competed and I won, the day was May 25th. The 1958 riots against the Tamils started. But I did not know what was happening in Sri Lanka or Ceylon at that time. I only came to know that in August, when my brother, who was in Ceylon, came to University of California, Los Angeles, to study. So that was not in my mind because I did not know anything about it. But I was determined to win, to prove everybody wrong, and to prove to myself I am better than what other people thought of me. So at the high jump, I was very, very focused on clearing each height in the first attempt. However, at the winning height, which was 2.03 meters, which is 6 feet 8 inches, I missed in my first attempt. So did Kasamatsu, who also missed. Ishikawa had missed the previous height, so he became third. Anyway, Kasamatsu missed all 3 jumps. I jumped it in my second jump. And in the next height, which was 2.09, I missed all 3 jumps. Other people who jumped there, the Philippine jumper and Ajit Singh, the Indian jumper, who came first and third respectively in 54. Were also jumping was like Ishikawa, who came second in 54. After I won, the victory ceremony, the pictures would show that when I received the medal and I stood up, I took a deep breath. That is a sigh of relief that I have kept in myself since 1954, and also that I have proved the Carlton Senivaratna, the sports editor, and Donovan Andre, who had faith in me, that I had won not only for myself, but for him, for my community, and also for the people in Ceylon. And it is a satisfaction and that I always treasured. There were school children in the whole stadium on that day, because I could see more school uniforms. And there were many school children who were sitting right behind in the stadium from the high jump area. I started jumping. When I was jumping, I was so focused that when I jumped, I did not hear the crowd, or nor did I hear anybody saying anything. It was absolute silence. That they call it functional fixation. That's an important trait that athletes should have, especially in individual events. But when the Japanese jumpers jumped, I see that when they are getting ready to jump, the whole stadium, people, students, they were clapping before he started. And as he ran up to the bar, he clapped and clapped. I felt very sad that these people are disturbing the jumpers who were jumping up, and this was disturbing them, because usually I would like people to be quiet when I jump so I can focus. After the high jump event, and even during that jumping, I was very glad that people were not clapping for me, because that would have disturbed me. After the event, when I related this to my friends, fellow athletes who were sitting in the stands, they said the people were clapping for me too, as loudly as they were clapping for the others. That's the first time I knew that when I start to jump, getting ready, I do not hear anything around me. It's a good quality for me, whereas others seem to prefer people cheering them. I am glad I was able to shut that all out, not consciously, but unconsciously.